Step 3, how to prepare for different kinds of questions in connection with one leading case. This is the big one. Okay, you've mapped that leading case, but I am still suggesting don't read the judgment. Why will you waste your time on something that's not important? Right? So what you've just done is a surgery on the case. Now what are you going to do? Is you are going to do a futuristic exercise where you plan what can possibly come from this case. Okay. So I'm going, but for that, you first have to understand what is the problem, what is the background of the case. Okay. And how can we decide, how do we follow the background of the case? Okay. So this is this legal context, how the case came here, and the facts don't have those details. Try to read paras 2, 3, and 4. Quite challenging and complicated. So I'm going to explain to you now, how do you look at the leading case? You look at the background. I'm going to explain to you. Background is where the guidance usually helps the most. Supreme Court rules around the issue if there are any. And these are the cases that you need to know about. Okay, you don't have to know them in as much detail, but you need to know, okay, in this case, which important cases were relied on, distinguished, or overruled. If something was overruled, super important. Okay, if something was distinguished, very important. But if which cases were relied on, a guide can tell you, okay, learn these 2 cases only, don't learn everything, it's fine. Okay, now let me apply this principle of the background to the present leading case. Okay, 319 pages, right? How do you simplify this? Do you want an understanding of how to go through a leading case? How do you build that narrative? Okay, so you have to understand how the matter reached here. It's dealt with in the first 4 paras. The paras you're saying difficult. Okay, are you going to be able to trace the history if you read those paragraphs? It's going to kill you. Okay, you will get a call and a WhatsApp message and something else. By then you get bored. There'll be a Netflix, something you'll want to watch. It'll go like that. Okay, so these are the paragraphs, by the way, screen pasted here. Okay, now this is where one requires the guidance. So in 2014, a new land acquisition was passed. Okay, Land Acquisition Act allows the state to acquire land and pay compensation to a landowner. Okay, it repealed the old act. Okay, simple. It modified the rights of landowners, entitling them to higher compensation from the state. And there was a new process. So if you're getting more money for your land, what's going to happen? You will want the new law to apply to your land acquisition, correct? You will want to, if the government is acquiring your land, you will say, make the new law apply, right? You're going to find out all these gaps in the law to say that, my land should be acquired under the new law. Okay, so it's black and white. Look, any new acquisition is going to happen under the new law. But if there's any gray area, what is a property owner going to do? They are going to say, I want my acquisition to be under the new law, and I'm going to find the gaps, right? So that was the problem. Now the question was this, that how will the government decide for any incomplete acquisitions, which law to apply, new law or old law? So suppose, the acquisition process was going on, the property wasn't yet acquired, money wasn't yet fully paid, but the process was ongoing. Which law will apply? As a landowner, you will say, I want a new law to apply, correct? Yeah, now this is the background which is not being able to be determined from paragraph 2 of the case. Check that paragraph which you said difficult and boring again. Please check it again. Okay. Now it's not over. I'll simplify it. For deciding this question, there were certain rules written in that section 24, which is again and again written in the issues that was framed. Okay. And one of the rules said that if the possession is not taken or the money hasn't been paid, then the proceedings would have to be taken under the new law. Okay. So if any of these parts are incomplete, then the proceedings would be under the new law. That was really good news for all those who owned lands which were in process of acquisition. This is the section that's written in the para. Now, unhappy landowners don't accept. What did unhappy landowners do? They said, hey, we don't want the money. And then they said, look, money hasn't been paid to us, and therefore the new law will apply. They refuse to accept the money. And then they take advantage of that and they say, I want the new law to apply. Okay. So they said, you didn't pay the money because we didn't take it. So we want the new law to apply. The government said, no, hello, we have made a budget. We have put it in a different account of ours, and that's sufficient. Is that equal to payment? It's not an easy question. Okay. And the court was struggling to decide a standard. And there were 2 cases where they decided certain standards. Okay. So should money be deposited with the court or not? This was a land acquisition question. This was not the most important question, but if you focus exclusively on the judgment, you will get trapped in this. This is a trap. Okay, this was not the most important question. Were the Supreme Court cases decided consistently on this point? This was the second question relevant for advocate on record exam. And this was discussed in two other cases.